I'm going to provide some commentary because sometimes reading text is left up to the interpreter. So many people haven't looked at my Facebook and read all the stuff that's written there. But there's some stuff written there, and I need to say it the way I was typing it because I've had some experience in my life where I got fucked with in a whole lot of different ways. But every time I got back to my house, all I was thinking was, well, I was thinking several things. Let me think. What's the state of mind I'm trying to? Where's some commentary? Because I do a lot of this. I fucking crush Kit Kats. I fucking crunch cunts. That's the main two things that I do when I get birth down here. Right? Go through a lot of shit, listen to a lot of people's bullshit, and just when it's ever like one-on-one time, I have to talk to that motherfucker, whoever it is. Like they never mess with me again. It's happened to so many people in my life. Maybe people made me look bad in front of groups, or I made a mistake, or whatever, got made fun of, or whatever. But when it was just me and them, and I told them how I really felt, they never bothered me fucking ever again. Strange how that works out. Well, I've been messed with. I mean, once they go get those documents, I mean, I have a full package of I sent up for my medical board when they try to discharge me from the Navy. I'm like 30 something years old, highly awarded petty officer, nuclear engineering, worked on submarines, 3 years recruiting duty, owned multiple houses, all this shit. First time I talked to a psychiatrist, the first person I talked to actually gave me a very good evaluation. Psychosis due to sleep deprivation, which is what I had. Second psychiatrist I talked to, that was a 14-day evaluation that guy gave me. Second psychiatrist I talked to was a woman. She didn't even want to look at the 14-day evaluation. In fact, she tried to take my copy that I brought with me, my discharge, when I left that unit. She wanted to take my paperwork from me. And then, when I told her she could make a copy of it, and this was my personal copy, she never even looked at it. I talked to her for an hour. And then when I left and I came back, and she said she had a diagnosis, I wanted to know what it was. And she talked to me about how she thought I was bipolar. I was like, look, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I want I want a record of that. She wouldn't give me a record of her diagnosis. You know why? Because it was a diagnosis recommendation. She didn't have the ability to give a diagnosis. But she did call ahead to that psych ward and tell the next doctor that I had, which is also a woman, same place. I had an 80-year-old man evaluating me the first time. Called ahead, told him I was bipolar, and wouldn't even give. I had to go through official routes through the Navy to force her office to give me paperwork. That took like 30 days. I finally got it. I got all that shit in that safe. My medical board, I wrote up an extensive, like 30-page document sent up from my medical board. I got permission to stay in the Navy. All I needed was a BUMED waiver for one-time fucking, I wasn't given any antipsychotics or anything like that. Given stuff to help me sleep. I was treated very well with a 14-day evaluation. Second time they sent me, they forced me to take drugs. They said, if you don't take these fucking drugs, we're not going to let you out of here. We're not going to start your evaluation. You need to be on them. We need to take your blood, monitor your fucking enough's in your bloodstream, so you're on it, and that's the only way you're going to get out. That was all women telling me that. So, worked in an all-male submarine force. I mean, I asked this woman that started this, she ever even gone down to one of the subs. She'd never even stepped foot on one of the subs. She's a submarine-based fucking, civilian in charge of all their psychiatry, just getting everyone kicked out of the fucking Navy. Anyways, all these times that I got fucked with, when I go back to my house, multiple times in my life got ruined. But when I got back to my house, I just thought to myself, well, well, hmm. Well, I'd have to go to my Facebook and read some of it, because some people read it, they're not going to understand how it was I was thinking about it when I typed it. But some of the stuff's very extraordinarily funny. I'm trying to think some particular one. I came up with a whole fucking list of I crush Kit Kats. Oh, you, you fucking lead bullets. I fucking hard hats. Oh, you fucking cop killer bullets. I fucking bulletproof vests. Oh, you fucking, all this shit. I made a very long list. Oh, that was the funnest time I ever spent typing. Um, But there's a little bit more commentary. I knew what it was before I started making this video. Now it's not on the top of my head. Things that I've typed in the past years ago that I wanted to verbalize. For some reason, I instantaneously forgot them when I started recording. But let's see. What else did I write on my Facebook? I mean, everything about the Vatican. Once people start reading that shit, the people's facial, the fucking if they could just get one more, I'll let you read it. But like, oh yeah, God and I, we know what they're both thinking. We know what the Pope and the Black Pope are thinking. If they could just get one more faggot, increase the total population of faggots by a whopping 50%, because any other increase after two of them, will be a smaller percentage. They could just get one more faggot. they, they could they could, they could reach their ultimate form, reach their final form, and reach the minimum required number of faggots to form a circle jerk of faggots, and they can finally do anal. I just went on from there. Once you guys read, people read that stuff, they're gonna be like, what the fuck? This is the funniest goddamn shit we've ever heard in our fucking lives. And it's been on this dude's Facebook for, a lot of shit written on my Facebook over time. No one's read it. My family and friends and people that knew me, they might have glanced by or whatever. They thought it was crazy because they heard I, went to mental health and someone diagnosed me as whatever. And all they wanted to know was what pills was I supposed to be taking? Like, how much shit did I do in the fucking Navy when I returned back to Maine and no one fucking asked me what I did in my life? Not to mention, I went to college, engineering school, for 3 years after I got out of the military, right? I got an awesome internship at NAVSEA. Walked in for the interview to start my internship. I got this after my sophomore year, fuckfaces. Walked in, they give one slot. They only ever have one electrical engineering intern. Walked in for my internship. One of the things they said was, you're going to complete your undergraduate degree, your master's degree, your PhD. This internship is good until you complete whatever degree you're pursuing. And you can come work here, anytime you want during the year, during the school year. If you have time off for Christmas vacation, you have to work here during the summers. If you want to work here any other time, give us 2 weeks notice. You can come in anytime. So it was 2 hours south from me. But I did go in for Christmas vacation. I worked there whole summer, Christmas vacation. During Christmas vacation, they wanted to directly hire me. They sat down, talked to me, and they said, hey, we can hire you based off your work experience and a little bit of college, whatever. You got these credits, we can hire you in quality assurance electrical engineering. And, do you want a job? Start you off at GS9, step one. I had some Navy retirement at the time, and they said, you need a degree to be electrical engineering. I was the electrical engineering intern. But we can hire you for quality assurance right now. You're interested in this job. 2 weeks I went in for a Christmas vacation. So it wasn't, 9 months before the guys saw me again. Great guys I worked with. Did that direct hire, rest of my, as soon as I got that direct hire package in the mail, I never went back to college again. Bunch of shit happened. It's a very long story, but I had my mother's house that she'd only gone to 3 times in like the last 10 years. And I had a friend of mine that went to high school with me, and I got that guy to rent her house from her for over 8 years. And I managed it all as far as payments, money. I just basically ensured that, he was paying whatever approximately what the mortgage cost my mother, and he broke his leg one year. I managed all that stuff. He wanted to see if he could do some repairs, to the home, and if he could get compensated, because, his dad could help him out with putting in a new water heater and stuff like that. And so I managed all that stuff for my mother while I was in the Navy. So then she got a renter while I was in college, and said, okay, she was going to manage her house from now on. She lived 4 hours north. And I said, okay, Mom, great. This guy she knew was on the volunteer fire department. I said, great. So I'm in college. I talked to her a couple times. During the first couple of months that guy lived there, she was mentioning something about him not paying her money. And so I'm focused on electrical engineering school. If you want to go to electrical engineering school, first off, I had no, it's all about computer engineering and coding. I had no experience at all. And also, I hadn't spent any time. Like I took algebra 2 back in fucking 1999, and like for nuclear engineering, you memorize the equations you need for that job, and that's it. Like I had to go straight into college level calculus. Never even took pre-calc. Like that shit was so fucking difficult for me at the age of 30. But once I had time to address it, basically once I knew I was getting hired to this position permanently, I called up my mom, had a long conversation. Tell me, because she told me all these reasons why his check bounced or he was supposed to come her money, giving me all these things when I had talked to her from time to time. What's going on with Dave living in your house, living in our house, the house I grew up in. And then when I finally got the hiring package, and this place was only 30 minutes away from where I was going to be working at, right? Bath Iron Works, Naval NAVSEA, Bath Iron Works. I was thinking, maybe I move down there if there's problems. So I had a long conversation with her. Guess what the truth was when she finally told me the truth? Guy never even paid her a penny. Lived there for almost 11 months. Didn't pay her anything. So as soon as I found that out, I fucking got online, filled out a power of attorney. I think she drove down to sign the power of attorney. As soon as she drove down to meet me, sign the power of attorney, I immediately drove down south, 7-day eviction notice, with 2 copies, one for that motherfucker, one for me. I called him while I was all down there. I waited at the house for a fucking hour until he got there. I was like, sign this and sign this one. This is the power of attorney. This is my copy. This is your copy. You have to be out of here in 7 fucking days. So that happened, moving to that house like 5 months before I started my full-time position. Guess what happened? Well, I did a bunch of work on the house during those 5 months because I was going to be making like $60,000 something dollars a year, and overtime's authorized, right? So I could have been making like $80,000, $90,000. A fantastic job. I was highly interested in, and I worked very hard an entire summer. They approached me, directly hired me, and snatched me from electrical engineering into QA, which they both work in the same, that whole level of that side of the building is QA electrical and electrical engineering. And so 2.5 weeks into that, they fucking put me on admin leave. Like the security officer just came to me. Then they immediately had me pack up all my shit. Like I was fully geared out with like Red Wing steel-toed boots and all like coveralls and fucking hard hats, everything I would need to work on the ship. They had already bought me plane tickets to fly to Connecticut for training. I had like 5 different Excel documents up, shit that I was updating, right? Multiple computer screens. Security officer came up to me. He's like, come to my office. There's a problem with your SF-86. They wanted to know about my psychiatric hospitalization. Put me on admin leave. Every single day in the morning. 7:30, I had to call in, talk to the QA manager, which didn't know me at all because I worked for the electrical engineering manager for my internship. 30 days into that, every morning, 7:30 a.m., calling them. What's going on? He has no idea. I have to go meet with the civilian fucking owner of Bath Iron Works, I had never met, and a woman that was human resources at NAVSEA, which I also never met. None of the guys I worked for the internship had any say in it whatsoever. They told me that basically DFAS, which issues the security clearances, wanted to have all the paperwork on my psychiatric hospitalizations, which I hadn't had any involvement with psychiatrists or anybody for nearly 3 years. And I had all the paperwork at my house, as I am bringing to you immediately. And they said, well, you lied. You lied about having an alcohol-related incident in the last 7 years. I said, oh, really? They say, yeah. When a cop did this survey, one of the times I was hospitalized, they asked a little survey, have you been drinking or whatever? I was hospitalized for mental health, right? I was hospitalized fucking involuntarily for 14 fucking days or whatever the fuck it was, right? Well, during that process, I said that I had alcohol. And I had a beer that day or whatever. And they said that was an alcohol-related incident. Pretty goddamn sure it was an alcohol-related incident. What'd they do? They had me come in like a week later after that interview. Had me sign a form that said I was removed due to an issue of candor. Called me a liar and fired me. So I had to, after signing that form, front office of NAVSEA, Bath Iron Works, I had to leave. I never saw any of those people again that I worked for. I mean, I worked for one of the best guys ever. John Roberts, GS-13 lead electrical engineer, building all those ships. I worked directly for that guy every single day. Him and Wade. Wade had a master's degree electrical. John Roberts had a PhD, and he was also the chief of his fire department. One of the most intelligent people I ever worked for in my life. It was a pleasure doing anything that guy wanted me to do in my internship. And I did all this work on my mother's house. I had $18,000 on my credit card because I had 5 months before I started that position. I figured there'd be no big problem paying it off. I just worked for 2.5 weeks, be unemployed, with $18,000 on a fucking 13% interest rate credit card. And at that point in my life, I was only getting paid something like $1,600 a month. And I still owned 2 houses, a home in Vermont and a home in Georgia. And I was only making like $50 more a month than my mortgage cost me. And that happened in like, what was that, 2013? 2011, 12, 13, 2014. That sucked. It took me 3 years to fucking,